Hey folks, don't mind me, just enjoying a bit of Super Mario Galaxy 2. You know, Mario games are always so consistently high quality, it really would be a shame for them to disappear in some sort of sudden timeline alteration. Hey folks, welcome to April, my favorite fourth month of the year. It's National Grilled Cheese Month, and I'm inviting all my friends over to celebrate the occasion. Dear Name, you are formally invited to my 3rd and a half annual celebration of National Grilled Cheese Month. Activities will include making grilled cheese, eating grilled cheese, and talking about grilled cheese. Hope you can make it. Sincerely, me. Now we wait. Jesus Christ.
I heard you were having people over to celebrate National Grilled Cheese Month, so I came as soon as I could.
How'd you hear about that? I haven't even sent out the invitations yet.
Yeah, I just had a feeling.
Well, you're just in time to celebrate the start of the greatest month of the year.
So excited for Cheese Month already.
Back in the early Jurassic period, Nintendo was seeking to move away from toy manufacturing and into the nascent field of arcade video games. One of their early arcade titles was a little something called Radar Scope, a quasi-3D fixed shooter in the vein of Space Invaders. It released in Japan in December of 1980, and I'm a little unclear on whether it was really successful or not, but the important thing is that in America it was most definitely not. See, the same year that Nintendo released Radar Scope, they opened up a new division in North America, creatively named Nintendo of America. Minoru Arakawa, the president at the time, gambled most of the division's finances on the success of Radar Scope in the States based on some promising results from early arcade tests. However, it ended up flopping miserably. It wasn't an atrocious game or anything, but it was difficult for Nintendo to sustain interest in the game after its 4-month journey shipping from Japan to America. Nintendo of America only ended up selling about 1,000 cabinets out of the 3,000 it had in supply, and suddenly things turned very dire. With Nintendo of America on the brink of total collapse, Arakawa turned to Hiroshi Yamauchi, the president of Nintendo and his father-in-law, nepotism is the best, and pleaded for Nintendo to develop a new game that could be installed on the unsold Radar Scope cabinets and rescue Nintendo of America from financial ruin. You know, fun fact, grilled cheese actually originated in the Great Depression.
Well, I mean, that makes sense. They're like the perfect pick-me-up. If I was in a depression, I'd make grilled cheese too.
Yeah, it's no wonder I made so many recently.
Sorry I'm late. I was arguing with some British people on the internet who call it a cheese toasty.
Fucking British people. To design the new arcade game Arakawa had requested, Yamauchi tapped Gunpei Yokoi to supervise the project, and for the role of lead designer he picked a young artist by the name of Shigeru Miyamoto. After some deliberation, Miyamoto eventually came upon the idea of a good old-fashioned love triangle between a man, a woman, and a gorilla. He had a lot of pretty ambitious gameplay ideas for the time, including sloped platforms, ladders, barrel obstacles, and even multiple levels. Despite some protests from the development team at the complexity of the game, the project eventually came to fruition as the now legendary arcade hit, Donkey Kong. Donkey Kong was one of the first platforming games ever made, and apparently the first one to feature jumping. It was a uniquely complex game for its time, and one of the only games to feature multiple stages. It stars Pauline, aka the Beautiful Girl, Donkey Kong, aka Donkey Kong, and of course, Mario, aka the Brave Carpenter. Miyamoto wanted Mario to be a sort of reliable recurring character to use in his future projects, and intended to call him Mr. Video, though he was apparently unnamed in the Japanese version of Donkey Kong. When he made his way to North America, he was first called Jumpman before finally adopting those 5 famous letters. He was named Mario after Mario Segale, Nintendo of America's landlord at the time, after he reportedly barged in on a meeting to demand overdue rent. He's pretty lucky. The last time I barged in on a Nintendo meeting, all I got was a restraining order. Mario's now iconic design actually stems primarily from workarounds to the graphical limitations of Donkey Kong's hardware. Drawing and animating hair would have been a pain in the ass, so he got a hat. Designing a mouth with such a limited amount of pixels would have been unrealistic, so he got a large nose and a mustache. And his bright-colored shirt and overalls contrasted well against the black background and made his arm movements more visible. There are a few differences between his design in Donkey Kong and the design we know today, though. For example, he has a blue shirt and red overalls, while nowadays it's the other way around. He's also called Little Mario in a lot of promotional materials for some reason, and because the game was designed around the idea of scaling a construction site, he is referred to as a carpenter rather than a plumber.
You know, grilled cheese is great.
Yeah, It's amazing what a little baked wheat and coagulated casing can do.
True. I'm excited to make some for ourselves. We just gotta wait until Garrett gets here.
You'd be surprised what sewers can take you. Grilled cheese, am I right?
Yeah!
Yeah!
That's what I'm talking about, baby! Woo! Well, what do we say we fire up the grill and make some grilled cheeses?
Yes!
Yes! Woo! Cool. Love grilled cheese! Yeah, I hate when that happens.
I think this is why people use stoves.
Well, while we're waiting for the entire town to stop burning, who's up for a quick game of Super Mario 3D World?
What the hell is that?
Oh, it's a Mario game on the Wii U. You've probably never heard of it since, well, Wii U.
What's a Mario?
The video game franchise? By Nintendo? He's their mascot.
Oh, you mean that green elf boy, Zelda?
It's Link! You're
Zelda's
such a
the
fucking
fucking
idiot!
idiot!
All the time!
Every
It's every
time!
time!
Every
It's the most famous game ever! It's Nintendo! It is literally...
Donkey Kong turned out to be a massive success, and Mario went on to star in several more titles over the next few years. Donkey Kong Jr. was a sequel to the original Donkey Kong and actually features Mario as the villain, holding Donkey Kong captive while Donkey Kong Jr. tries to save him. Mario Bros. Is another arcade platformer where Mario has to knock out various strange creatures in the sewers of New York City. It introduced several concepts that have become Mario series staples ever since. This is where Mario was changed from a carpenter to an Italian-American plumber to better fit the game's premise. This game also gave us Luigi as a palette swap of Mario in the 2-player mode and 2/3 of Super Mario Bros.' title. Mario is also featured in a few Game & Watch titles like Mario's Cement Factory, Mario's Bombs Away, and Mario Bros. Again. But then came the dreaded video game crash of 1983. This is a story that's been told many times before, so I'll spare the details, but the main point is that video games, especially in the US, were having a pretty hard time existing during this period, which led Nintendo to do some major design tweaks when sending their Famicom system over to the States. To avoid the stigma associated with video games at the time, they marketed it more as a toy and an entertainment system, hence the name, rather than a video game console, and changed its appearance to more closely resemble a VCR or some other common household tech. And thus, the Nintendo Entertainment System was born. It was first released to a limited market in late 1985 and saw modest sales before being released in the entire United States the following year to widespread success, forever marking its place in the Video Game Hall of Fame. And this was due in large part to its new platformer, Super Mario Bros. Quick point to note here, no one actually knows when Super Mario Bros. Came out. Of course, in Japan, we know it released on September 13th, 1985, but here in the States, it's a bit of a mystery. I'm not really sure how this happened. It's pretty amazing that no one kept any accurate records, or at least no one's found any, of the release date for one of the most successful and influential video games of all time. But hey, this is the same humanity that made Big Mouth, you can't expect too much. Sources obviously vary, with some dating it as late as early 1986, but it's most likely that Super Mario Bros. Launched alongside the NES or was released shortly after. Super Mario Bros. Was where the Mario series as we know it today was born. It's got everything: graphics, sound, levels, Toad. Its simple yet polished gameplay brought it massive popularity and ushered the Mario series into a 35-year era of greatness. Today, Mario is the biggest video game franchise in the world, and one of the biggest media franchises with a whole host of merchandise and media spin-offs, including films, theme parks, and a Super Mario Bros. Super Show. Fun fact, in addition to being the only Mario-based cartoon to feature Magic Johnson, it's also the only official source that gives any indication that Mario actually likes spaghetti. I mean, it was 1989, there were no rules back then. With his distinct appearance and his exuberant "it's-a-me," Mario is an instantly charming and lovable character, and a bona fide video game legend, going from a quick solution for a financial shortfall, to the savior of the gaming industry, to the iconic mustachioed plumber and gaming juggernaut that we all know and love.
Okay, you're not making any sense. I still have no clue what you're talking about. Do you mean Mario Draghi, the Prime Minister of Italy?
Mario Diaz-Balart, the U.S. representative from Florida's 25th Congressional District.
Mario Segali, Nintendo of America's landlord, early 1980s? That's the Nintendo Mario guy you're probably thinking of.
Yeah, you know, that warehouse that he got them really helped them get their start in America.
True. I don't know why they didn't make some big grand tribute or something to him.
Yeah.
No! Super Mario, the Nintendo video game franchise. What's so hard about that to understand? Is there some kind of sick joke? It's the first day of grilled cheese month. We do not do pranks on the first day of April! I don't know what's gotten into you people. How do you
This is bad.
911, what is your emergency?
Please send help. We have a mental health emergency. My friend suddenly started thinking Mario exists.
Dear God, we'll send our emergency therapist to your location right away.
I came as soon as I heard there was a case of believing Mario games were real. It was a little hard driving through the fire tornado, though. Where's the patient? Come on.
Mario. What happened to him? He's real. I know he's real.
No!
Super Mario Bros. On the NES did more than just kickstart the Mario franchise. It was also a video game. And playing it today, it actually holds up pretty well, honestly. Sure, you can definitely tell it's old, it lacks some features that most modern Mario games have, like some power-ups, the world map, and walking to the left. The difficulty of some levels can be annoying at times, and you can't save your progress. But at the end of the day, it's still Mario. The gameplay is a lot of fun, and the levels are well designed. My only recommendation is to just not play it on the original NES, since, like most games at that time, Super Mario Bros. Doesn't let you save your progress, essentially forcing you to play the entire game in one go. Most modern ways to play it, such as the Nintendo Switch Online library, which is what I used, have save states, which means you can put down the game without having to return to World 1-1. Ultimately, a lot of later Mario games are probably overall better, but I was never expecting the world from this game. For what it is, it's quite an enjoyable experience, and it's easy to see why it caught on back in the day. Naturally, the success of Super Mario Bros. Inspired several sequels on the NES. Everyone knows the story of Super Mario Bros. 2. It was released in Japan as a sequel to the original Super Mario Bros., but was deemed too difficult for the sissy Americans. So they took a different game called Yume Kojo Doki Doki Panic, reskinned it with a Mario theme, and released that as Super Mario Bros. 2 in North America. The original Japanese version of Super Mario Bros. 2 was later released in North America in the Super Mario All-Stars compilation on the SNES as Super Mario Bros. The Lost Levels. Interestingly enough, Lost Levels was the first game to have actual control differences for Luigi, with him having less ground friction and a higher jump height. Before Lost Levels, Luigi was essentially just a reskin of Mario controlled by the second player. This game was the first step towards developing a distinct identity for Luigi, both in gameplay and as a character.
There's a fucking Luigi?!
I just can't believe that I'm spending the first day of National Grilled Cheese Month like this. Like, I just wanted to enjoy some good old grain and dairy like the next normal person. But next thing you know, my house is on fire and I'm sitting here talking to a crazy person who plays TF2.
You alright, man? Sounds like you really use a grilled cheese.
Grilled cheese is delicious.
Right?
Yeah, that's
grilled cheese.
I mean, like, when you
Yeah,
realize
yeah,
it,
really,
it's
yeah,
pretty
yeah,
good.
that's
It's
really
really
true.
good.
I
Consider that
consider
cheese
that
and the
right.
bread together.
Super Mario Bros. The Lost Levels as a game is... well, I don't know actually. I should probably clarify here, I'm only going to be discussing at length the games that I've actually played. Believe it or not, I don't really have the time to play each and every Mario game solely for the purpose of reviewing them. I've played a pretty substantial amount of Mario games, but I've only been alive for so long, and I'm gonna have some blind spots in the franchise's history. Anyway, speaking of games I haven't played, Super Mario Bros. 3 was the last mainline Mario game released for the NES. I've heard it's good. Onto the Game Boy, Super Mario Land was the first handheld Mario game since the Game & Watch, and the first handheld game in the mainline Super Mario series. It also introduced Daisy, and where would we be without her? I never hear people talk about this game. From all accounts, it's a solid experience, and is often referred to as one of the best Game Boy games, but it usually seems to go completely unacknowledged whenever Mario platformers get brought up. I imagine it might be because the game was pretty short and, from what I can tell, not insanely groundbreaking and didn't leave much of its own distinct mark on the Mario franchise. It could also be because of how generally overlooked Game Boy games are. I mean, hell, the only games I ever think of when Game Boy is brought up are Kirby, Pokemon, and Tetris. However, Super Mario Land did spawn a sequel on the Game Boy, Super Mario Land 2 6 Golden Coins, which introduced us to everyone's favorite Mario character named Wario, Wario. A third game, the awkwardly titled Wario Land Super Mario Land 3, was also released on the Game Boy, though it ended up being sort of retconned into its own series, the Wario Land series, so I'm not really sure if it counts as part of mainline Mario. The Game Boy Color also saw the release of Super Mario Bros. Deluxe, a set of enhanced ports of the original Super Mario Bros. And the Lost Levels. The SNES saw the release of Super Mario World 2 Yoshi's Island, Super Mario All-Stars, and Super Mario All-Stars plus Super Mario World. Super Mario World introduced Yoshi to the series, and is regarded by many as an absolutely legendary Mario game, with some of the best gameplay and content that the series has to offer. As for me, yeah, it's pretty good. I don't know, I played it on the 3DS Virtual Console a few years back, and don't get me wrong, I had plenty of fun with it, but I didn't feel absolutely blown away or feel the need to crown it as my new favorite Mario game. I feel like it's one of those games that you definitely cherish a lot more if you played it as a kid, but from my experience it was just another solid Mario game. I don't mean to downplay its quality, because it's still a really great game, but after I played it once, I put it down and never touched it again. Now, Yoshi's Island, I'm not really sure if this even counts as a main series entry. Miyamoto says it is, but come on, look at this. This ain't a normal Mario game. It also had a Wario Land type situation, with it spawning a separate side series of Yoshi games later down the line. I'd say it doesn't really qualify, but hey, I've never played it, what do I know? Nintendo also released remakes of the original 4 NES Mario games in the Super Mario All-Stars compilation. As I said earlier, this collection was also how Lost Levels first came to North America. Interestingly, Nintendo re-released it a year later, having added in Super Mario World as one of the playable games. Can you imagine them doing something that consumer-friendly today? That'd be like them re-releasing Super Mario 3D All-Stars this year with Super Mario Odyssey included. The Nintendo 64 was pretty famous for having games named after the last 2 numbers of its name, and Super Mario 64 was no exception. This was undoubtedly one of the most important games in the Mario franchise, and one of the most important games period, marking Mario's official jump into 3D and setting the stage for countless other franchises to follow in its footsteps. And it's a damn fine game too. Sure, it has aged in some ways, and the controls and camera can definitely be cumbersome at times, but for what it is, it's a really fantastic 3D platformer. It's such a pleasant experience, full of great gameplay and tons of fun worlds to explore, and there were very few areas or mechanics that I didn't like. Super Mario 64 is a great time, and despite some of its flaws, it's still absolutely worth playing through today. The Game Boy Advance lacked any unique main series Mario games to call its own, but it did have the Super Mario Advance series, a series of re-releases of old Mario games with some of the worst titles in recorded history. Can you imagine naming your child Super Mario Advance 4 Super Mario Bros. 3? Each game featured enhanced ports of Super Mario Bros. 3, Super Mario World, Yoshi's Island, and Super Mario Bros. 3 respectively, with the Mario Bros. 2 and 3 ports being based heavily on the All-Stars versions. All 4 games also feature a version of the original Mario Bros. From the arcades, but no Super Mario Bros. 1 or the Lost Levels for some reason. I assume it was because those 2 games had just been re-released on the Game Boy Color 2 years earlier in the form of Super Mario Bros. Deluxe, but it's just not quite the same as playing an enhanced remake on the GBA. Of course, there are a billion ways to play them nowadays, but I bet I would have been pretty pissed if I were alive in 2001. The GameCube was home to Super Mario Sunshine. I don't know, I played it for a while and really tried to enjoy it, but it just did not appeal to me. There's a fair bit to like about this game. A lot of the environments are pretty nice, the platforming is fairly solid, and I think Flood is a really interesting game mechanic, but Sunshine just never clicked with me. I think it mainly came down to the level design and controls. There were a fair bit of missions that were either kind of bland or just straight up annoying, and though the controls were mostly solid, I still had an unfortunate amount of encounters with jank. Though I can't really say it's a bad game, I just wasn't really having a good time with it and had to put it down about a quarter of the way through. This game tends to be pretty polarizing, with most people having it as either their favorite 3D Mario or their least favorite, and I definitely fall into the latter category. I think there's still some fun to be had here, but it's just not for me. The DS came with a remake of Super Mario 64 as a launch title, creatively named Super Mario 64 DS. This was definitely done in part to show off the technical capabilities of the DS. I mean, having a game that used to be on a home console run on a clam is a pretty neat novelty. As a game, I mean, it's fine, it's Super Mario 64, but it's definitely not the best way to play it. Optimize it all you want, a 3D platformer just isn't going to be that good when played on a D-pad. Using the circle pad on the 3DS doesn't really solve the problem either, since it was still designed for use with the D-pad. I think they made it work the best they could. It's tolerable, but I definitely recommend just playing the original. New Super Mario Bros. Though, now, that was a game changer. It was the first original 2D Mario game in over a decade, and it definitely lived up to its predecessors. More worlds to explore, new modern graphics and music, new power-ups, new platforming techniques, and it's all on the go. It's another excellent 2D Mario platformer with great gameplay and tons of content to dig through. And that's not even counting the extra modes. I had so much fun playing the multiplayer versus mode with friends back in the day. It was simple, but so intense and addicting. This game also features a collection of minigames to enjoy solo or in multiplayer wireless play that are still loads of fun to this day and have even built up a bit of notoriety of their own. To be fair, they were actually introduced in 64DS, but I definitely got a lot more mileage out of them in this game. Even today, New Super Mario Bros. Is plenty of fun and a very worthwhile experience with polished gameplay and a wealth of content to enjoy. The Wii gave us Super Mario Galaxy, New Super Mario Bros. Wii, Redacted, and Super Mario All-Stars again. Super Mario Galaxy... yeah! I adore this game. It was one of the first Wii games I ever played, one of the first video games I played for that matter, and it still ranks among my all-time favorites. Incredibly satisfying platforming, sublime level design, great exploration, interesting mechanics, it's just so much fun. The wonder of exploring the game's various memorable levels, the thrills of overcoming platforming challenges with a variety of jumps and spins, the feeling of satisfaction after getting each and every star, they're things that never get old no matter how many times I replay this game. It's not perfect, obviously. There are some annoying levels like the trash bombing challenges and the motion control courses that I could honestly do without, but at the end of the day, it's a positively magical 3D platformer that few other games can hope to match. Super Mario Galaxy brings me so much joy, and it'll always have a special place in my heart. New Super Mario Bros. Wii was also a really good time. Designed as a successor to New Super Mario Bros. On the DS, it brought 2D Mario back to home consoles and even added in 4-player multiplayer. I've gotta say, the multiplayer is a really great addition here. Being able to play through Mario levels with 4-player couch co-op is such a fun novelty, and it was implemented really well. Let me be clear, it's far from wholesome fun. You are constantly getting in each other's way, and it can be infuriating. But that's kinda what I like about it. It's got a similar frustration factor to, say, Mario Kart or Mario Party. The sheer chaos and intensity of it all is what makes it so fun. It's not family friendly, but it is an experience to remember. Beyond that, Mario Bros. Wii is just a really solid game on its own. Good level design, fun platforming, along with some great new mechanics and power-ups. It's just simple 2D Mario greatness, and one of the best titles on the Wii. Nintendo also re-released Super Mario All-Stars on the Wii in 2010 to celebrate Mario's 25th anniversary, along with a booklet of Mario history and a soundtrack CD. From what I can tell, people were pretty unsatisfied with this. It's pretty easy to see why. For one, they didn't even make a new Mario All-Stars collection, they just put a ROM of the SNES game on a Wii disc. Not only that, but it wasn't even the version that had Super Mario World on it. Critics also seem to think the history booklet was pretty shallow and uninteresting, and the soundtrack CD only had 10 actual pieces of music on it and some sound effects. So yeah, I can see why people might have thought this was kind of a lame way to celebrate Mario's 25th anniversary. Onto the 3DS. Everyone's favorite mix of 3D and S was home to Super Mario 3D Land and New Super Mario Bros. 2. I had a ton of fun with 3D Land back in the day. The platforming is Mario gold standard greatness, the level design is good, and I think structuring it like a 2D Mario game played in 3 dimensions with shorter bite-sized levels made it perfect for a handheld system. It was a really addicting experience that I couldn't get enough of, and I sunk countless hours into it thanks to the abundance of levels and challenges. I seriously played it so much that I was able to 100% complete it without a guide. 3D Land is a great little time. It's an excellent handheld platformer with hours upon hours worth of content to enjoy. New Super Mario Bros. 2 is kinda just another 2D Mario game. Don't get me wrong, there's still plenty of fun to be had here, but there really isn't much that makes it stand out. Nintendo tried doing this whole coins gimmick and told players to try collecting 1 million coins, but there really wasn't any point to collecting all those coins except an alternate title screen. Ultimately, it's good, it's 2D Mario, it's just not all that special. The Wii U! Everyone's favorite U-based Wii gave us New Super Mario Bros. U, Super Mario 3D World, and Super Mario Maker. New Super Mario Bros. U has a bit of a New Super Mario Bros. 2 syndrome of not having much of its own identity or bringing much new to the series. And this is where a lot of people have started to level criticism at the New Super Mario Bros. Series as a whole. Though it was certainly a breath of fresh air back in 2006 on the DS, and it was a lot of fun on the Wii, with these more recent entries it's starting to lose some of its luster. Traditional 2D Mario just isn't quite as exciting anymore, and although they're still good games as a whole, they can definitely get a little stale despite the name.
You know, it would be pretty ironic for a game series starting with new to end up feeling old.
That's what I'm saying!
Super Mario 3D World, though, now, this was a lot of fun. It's a lot like 3D Land on the 3DS, with a gameplay structure more similar to that of 2D Mario than the 3D exploration type games. It's got a lot of really fun and creative levels, great new mechanics like multiple character options, the new catsuit power-up, and the mystery box levels, and of course the overall platforming gameplay is as sublime as ever. Nintendo also managed to fit in 4-player co-op in 3D for the first time, and it works really well. It's much more cooperative and less insane than the multiplayer of Mario Bros. Wii, which means you can enjoy full couch co-op without actively wanting to murder your friends. Unless, of course, you want to fight over the crown, in which case, yeah, it's hell. Overall, though, it's an absolute blast to play by yourself or with friends, with great gameplay and excellent level design to keep you entertained all the way through. Super Mario Maker is really something special. Having an official level creator to make your own Mario levels is the stuff dreams are made of. I personally didn't get a ton out of the level creator for whatever reason, though. I don't know, I guess I just never really had many good ideas that I really wanted to create. Levels other people made are where I got the most out of this game. Giving players the ability to make their own levels opens up an essentially infinite treasure trove of Mario levels to play. Sure, you have to sift through a fair amount of garbage, but there's a lot of good stuff to be found here, ranging from incredibly flashy to incredibly creative to incredibly hard. Mario Maker is just a great concept, and it's so cool to see all the amazing things that the fan community has been able to make with it. They also made a 3DS port of this game where you can't share your levels online. What was the point? And finally, we come to the Switch, which actually has the highest amount of what I'd consider mainline Mario games of any console. It's got Super Mario Odyssey, New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe, Super Mario Maker 2, Super Mario 3D All-Stars, and Super Mario 3D World plus Bowser's Fury. Super Mario Odyssey, of course, is an absolute gem of a game. Some of the best controls of any Mario game to date, creative and expansive worlds that are an absolute joy to traverse, an incredibly innovative new capture mechanic that adds so much to the gameplay and level design, a satisfying and addictive gameplay loop of moon collecting, and so many different missions and challenges to complete in the quest to 100% the game. It's hard not to love this game, and it definitely ranks as one of the greatest Mario games and one of the best games on the Switch. Interestingly enough, though, I feel like I haven't gotten as much replay value from it as other Mario games. Don't get me wrong, it's a wonderful game, and playing it for the first time is a magical experience, but I do think some of its charm wears off when you've done it all before. My first time through was one of my greatest gaming memories, and the gameplay is good enough that it's still a lot of fun to come back to, but for whatever reason I haven't had as much desire to replay it like I have with other Mario games. New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe just kinda came and went. It released, spawned a new wave of Rule 34 fan art, and then it was never heard from again. It's a port of New Super Mario Bros. U, following in the tradition of Nintendo porting all their good Wii U games to the Switch so people actually have the chance to play them. I think it is nice to have a complete 2D Mario available on the Switch, but I didn't take too much interest in it personally, so I never bothered to pick it up. Super Mario Maker 2, this game has pretty much all the same great qualities that the first Mario Maker had, but with a lot of new features and gameplay elements, like local and online multiplayer, new power-ups, a new level style based on 3D World, and an extensive single-player campaign. For some reason, though, I didn't really play this game all that much. For the time that I did play it, I definitely had quite a bit of fun, but after a short while, I put it down and haven't really felt the urge to play it since. I think most people can for sure get a lot out of this game, but it just didn't seem to grab me personally. Super Mario 3D All-Stars is a collection of Mario's biggest 3D adventures released in 2020 to celebrate Mario's 35th anniversary. It features enhanced ports of Super Mario 64, Sunshine, and Galaxy with HD graphics, some more polished visuals, and a few quality of life improvements. The general consensus on this game, from what I can tell, is that it's really nice to have, but that they could have gone bigger for Mario's 35th anniversary. After all, unlike the first Mario All-Stars collection, the games featured here aren't remakes, just slightly enhanced ports, and the game doesn't include any bonus content or any sort of retrospective presentations of Mario history. It did include the soundtracks from the 3 games, but let's be honest, who's listening to music on the Nintendo Switch? Of course, there were some factors that might have prevented this game from being as ambitious as it could have been, and for me personally, this is how I first experienced Super Mario 64 and Sunshine, and getting to play Galaxy again on the Switch is such a treat. I definitely think it could have been made a bit better, but I can't complain too much. Except they made it available for only a limited time for some reason. Seriously, Nintendo, what's wrong with you? And lastly, we have Super Mario 3D World plus Bowser's Fury. This is the latest in the line of first-party Wii U games ported to the Switch, and as I've been playing it recently, I've gotta say, it's just as good as I remember it being on the Wii U, if not better. It comes with a few quality of life changes, including a slight visual upgrade, increased movement speed for every character, and a new online multiplayer that works surprisingly well. The biggest addition to this game by far, though, is the new side game included with it, Bowser's Fury. And, I haven't actually checked it out yet. It seems to be a sort of open-world adventure-type game where you travel around various islands and collect trinkets known as cat shines. From what I've heard about it, it's a really fun game. I just haven't gotten around to playing it for myself because one of my favorite pastimes is taking forever to play new games. That's the last of the main series, but Mario also has a gargantuan library of spin-offs that deserve some attention. There are a lot of spin-off games that belong in the never-played category for me, though. The Dr. Mario series, Mario Paint, Super Princess Peach, those old educational games are all games that I've never even touched. Same with every single Mario sports game, except for one that I played on the Wii for like 5 minutes when I was really young and I couldn't figure out how to play it and I ended up breaking down crying. I don't even remember what game it was, but I never touched it again. I've also never played any Wario game, be it Wario Land or WarioWare, but it's kinda dubious whether Wario games even count as Mario spin-offs or if they're just kinda their own thing. Also of questionable status as Mario spin-offs are Captain Toad Treasure Tracker, the Yoshi series, and the Luigi's Mansion series. Regardless, I played Captain Toad a while back and thought it was a decent time, but a bit short. As far as Yoshi games, I only ever played Yoshi's New Island and Woolly World for a little while each, so I don't really have much of an opinion overall, and same situation with Luigi's Mansion. I played Dark Moon for a short while, but not long enough to form much of a strong opinion. There's also some one-off titles that I've played, like Super Mario RPG, Super Mario Run, Mario Kart Tour, and Mario plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle. I played Super Mario RPG for a while, and I think it's definitely a solid Super Nintendo game, but multiple times my emulator crashed and I lost a bunch of save data and then never had much urge to continue. Super Mario Run is a mobile game, and it's actually quite a bit of fun. I haven't played it in a while, though from what I can remember it was a bit lacking in content, but its controls are designed perfectly for phones and it's really addicting to play through all the game's levels. It's not some absolutely earth-shattering title since mobile game, but it's a pretty solid experience for a mobile game and I certainly got a lot of joy out of it in my early high school days. Mario Kart Tour was okay. I think Mario Kart on phones is a great concept, but this game got criticized a lot for its gacha element and for having a lot of content locked behind paywalls. I don't know, I only played it once or twice for like 5 minutes, I was never the biggest fan. Mario plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle, though, is actually a pretty fun time. The concept of merging the Mario and Rabbids universes is a little bizarre, but I actually think it was executed pretty well. They managed to put Rabbids in something without setting off my fight or flight response. The tactical RPG gameplay was also really solid, and I had a lot of fun playing through its campaign. I never really had much interest in coming back to it after beating it, though. Don't get me wrong, it's a fun game, but one time through is enough for me. Paper Mario is another series I've sadly never really touched, except for, unfortunately, Sticker Star. I remember at the time hearing about the game being pretty widely criticized, but then a YouTuber I watched a lot at the time said he didn't hate Sticker Star, and I thought, what a ringing endorsement, surely this'll be a worthwhile investment. I then picked it up, played it for like 5 minutes, got stuck on something, and then put it down and never played it again. From what I can tell about Paper Mario as a whole, the first game and the Thousand Year Door were really solid RPGs, while Super Paper Mario is a pretty big genre shift, being more of a platformer than an RPG, but still a good game overall, and the series has just sorta lost its way since then. Seems like we just keep seeing new Paper Mario games come out that get marginally better, but still have some glaring issues and never turn out to be quite what Paper Mario fans are hoping for. It seems like the series became pretty miserable after Super Paper Mario, but I'm still interested in checking out the first 3 games someday. Mario vs. Donkey Kong. I also haven't played much of this as a whole, but I did enjoy the hell out of Miniland Mayhem on the DS. It's been a while since I last played through it, but I remember it being a really fun puzzle game. Figuring out how to move your mini Mario toys through each level was so satisfying, and you could even make your own levels, a feature I messed around with a ton when I was younger. I'm sure I'll get around to the rest of the series someday, but I can at least say with confidence that Miniland Mayhem is a really good time. The Mario Party series is an absolute classic. It's the quintessential party game to enjoy with your friends. The intensity of the minigames and dice rolls, the satisfaction of winning coins and stars, the agony that comes with getting screwed over by bullshit RNG, it's all part of the experience. The Mario Party series is sheer chaos, and I love it for that. I've played all the Mario Party games on the GameCube, a little bit of 8, unfortunately 10, and Super Mario Party on the Switch. I'd have to agree with the consensus that the older games are generally better. They just have a lot more of the classic Mario Party insanity that the series is known for. I have a ton of fond memories of playing the GameCube games online through the Dolphin emulator and having some intense late-night games with my friends.
Oh, even if you win all the bonus stars, now...
Yeah,
you still
exactly.
win.
We needed to win that game, but no, this game just...
I'm pretty sure this was not the game's fault. We all started with the same chance, and we came out on top.
I'm so fucking mad right now. The Mario Kart series is probably the most iconic set of Mario spin-offs by far. And what's not to love? It's go-karting with Funky Kong. The gameplay is just so much fun, and each entry into the series is always a ton of fun to play by yourself or with friends. I've played every game since Mario Kart DS, though Mario Kart Wii was actually my first. Mario Kart DS is... well, Mario Kart on the DS. It's definitely not my favorite, but it's serviceable, and I'd bet it was a lot better in its time, especially with the novelty of just being on the DS at all. Mario Kart Wii is the undisputed king of bullshit for me. I played a lot of single player when I was younger, and like most Mario Kart Wii players who dared to approach first place, I suffered a lot at the hands of the blue shell. The items in this game can be absolutely infuriating, but much like Mario Party, it's kinda part of the charm. I think some of the bullshit insanity that happens in this game is a lot more enjoyable in multiplayer, but even playing solo, it's still a very fine Mario Kart overall. I think as I've gotten used to the controls of more recent entries, it's not as fun to come back to, but it's certainly still a quality game. Mario Kart 7 was pretty unmemorable for me, honestly. It was one of the first 3DS games I ever played. I got it for Christmas and mostly played it because it was the only actual 3DS game I had besides Super Monkey Ball. I think it's fine for what it is, but I feel like I was way too into Mario Kart Wii at the time to be willing to adjust to 7's controls, so I didn't end up playing it too much. Mario Kart 8 though now, this is a real gem. I remember playing it at a friend's house around when it first came out and not enjoying it too much because, again, too used to the Wii, but a couple years later when I finally got my hands on the game for myself, I had a blast with it. Excellent controls, fun tracks, fairly well-balanced items. I put a lot of hours into this game, even getting 3 stars on every Grand Prix. Then it got a Switch port in the form of Mario Kart 8 Deluxe with all the DLC, an expanded battle mode, a few new characters, gameplay tweaks, and now on a vastly superior console. I played the hell out of the Deluxe version too, getting 3 stars on all the Grand Prix again and playing a ton of the online mode. It's just such a fun game, and even years later I still play it pretty frequently, which is something I can't say about a lot of other games. And finally, the Mario and Luigi series. I love these games. Absolutely superb gameplay, entertaining and memorable characters, clever and funny writing. They're incredibly creative and their charm and whimsy is unmatched. Each game is incredibly different from every other game in the series, which gives each entry their own distinct identities and keeps them feeling fresh and unique. I really enjoyed Superstar Saga on the GBA, though I wasn't very good at it. If I recall correctly, I never actually beat the game because I got stuck at the final boss. Partners in Time on the DS was also a solid entry. The 4-character setup with Mario and Luigi's baby forms makes the battles a lot of fun to go through. Though it definitely is one of the less memorable games for me, honestly. It seems to kind of have a reputation as one of the weaker entries into the series, and I somewhat agree with that, though that's due in large part to the bar just being so incredibly high. It's not a bad game in any sense. Bowser's Inside Story, though, is just phenomenal. I played this game so much when I was younger. It has the best gameplay in the series by far, and getting the chance to play as Bowser is just so much fun. It is my undisputed favorite Mario & Luigi game, and one of my favorite games, period. Dream Team on the 3DS, it just was never really my thing for some reason. I got it when it first came out, but got bored after a while, which is not something I ever thought I'd say about a Mario & Luigi game. I don't know, there's nothing particularly bad about the gameplay, but the story campaign was a huge slog that just seemed to drag on and on. I did eventually beat Dream Team, but only after stopping many times over the course of several years. It just never seemed to end, and there were many times where I was practically begging for the game to wrap up the story already, and for that reason I didn't have the greatest overall experience with the game, and it's definitely my least favorite in the series. Paper Jam I enjoyed quite a bit more. It seems like this game is rated as one of the weaker games in the series, if not the weakest by a lot of people, but I honestly have to disagree with that. I think the whole concept of a crossover between the Mario and Luigi universe and the Paper Mario universe is such a great idea, and the new battle mechanics with Paper Mario are a lot of fun. I thought the papercraft battles were really clunky and annoying though, and they're a pretty severe detriment to the overall experience. After Paper Jam came a remake of Superstar Saga on the 3DS with a new real-time strategy side mode called Minion Quest: The Search for Bowser, creatively titled Mario & Luigi Superstar Saga plus Bowser's Minions. Even though I always thought a Superstar Saga remake was cool in concept, and I was excited for the game when it was first announced, I just never ended up picking it up for some reason. A remake of Bowser's Inside Story with a side mode similar to the Superstar Saga remake's Minion Quest called Bowser Jr.'s Journey was also released on the 3DS with a title just as creative as that of its predecessor. They skipped over Partners in Time for some reason, apparently because Bowser's Inside Story was better received, and even though the original game is one of my favorite games of all time, I never bothered to pick up the remake. And it seems like a lot of other people did the same thing because despite positive critical reception, this game's sales were abysmal, ranking as one of the worst selling games in the entire Mario franchise. Probably because it was a 3DS game in 2019. Not only was it released on an older system well into the Switch's life cycle, but you could still play the original game on the 3DS. It's a real shame because they could have spent all that time making a more enhanced remake or even a new game on the Switch rather than a console that no one was buying games for at that point. Rather unfortunately, Alpha Dream filed for bankruptcy later that year, meaning we're probably never going to see a Mario and Luigi game again. Yeah, I hate my life. It's not confirmed that the low sales of the Bowser's Inside Story remake were a factor, and it may very well not have been, but it's definitely possible, and whatever the cause, it's incredibly sad that we're unlikely to see any new games in this amazing series ever again. Mario is such a deep and diverse video game franchise, with a massive variety of games of all different genres, and almost all of them have an unmatched level of quality and polish. There are very few genuinely bad Mario games out there. He has his reputation for a reason. With his unbeatable gameplay formula and instantly recognizable image, Super Mario is a true giant of the gaming industry. From humble beginnings in the arcades to his colossal stardom in the present day, Mario has remained an amazing character and an amazing franchise, and it's safe to say that video games as a whole wouldn't be the same without him. Of course, this does raise the question of which Mario game is my favorite. Though there are a lot of excellent titles in the franchise's 35-year history, the answer for me is an easy one. Super Mario Galaxy 2. Everything I said about Galaxy 1 applies here too. Great levels, fun gameplay, unique mechanics, Luigi. But it goes even further, with creative new gameplay additions, some quality of life changes, and loads of new amazingly designed levels to play through. It's a ton of fun, and has a great overall sense of joy and wonder. But most importantly for me, it's...
Whoa. Hold on. Super Mario Galaxy 2? I can see those other games happening in an alternate reality or something, but Super Mario Galaxy 2 definitely never happened.
That's what they want you to think.
Wait, hold on a minute. You're just fucking insane. Like, not only do you believe that Mario exists, but you believe in video games that don't even exist in a timeline where Mario exists. You're inoperable! I became an emergency therapist to escape from you. I thought I was free, and then my first case is you and your goddamn video games. I can't fucking take it anymore.
We should have just used a stove.